Straight away when you open this, you get a massive hit of raspberry coming through that. So it's got a lot of fruit in there.
There is, it's about 12% by volume raspberry juice, yeah.
This is Beer Geek Bucket List.
When BrewDog started in 2007, the closest brewery to us was a 3-hour journey north or south. Today, we have a world-class craft brewery on our doorstep, Fierce Beer. I'm going to meet up with Dave and Dave at their brewery near Aberdeen Airport to find out what inspired them to get into craft beer.
Hey Martin, how's it going?
How you doing, Dave?
Good to see you. Welcome to Fierce. I'll show you around the place, show you where it first started, then you can catch up with Dave for some beer talk.
Great. You can look after the dog.
Sure. The unit that we're going to head to, I actually used to work in it 25 years ago in oil and gas, so it was almost like coming home to the old unit again, so it was neat.
With oil and gas, what did you actually do here?
It was explosives. Yeah, I'm an explosives expert back in the day, so.
So obviously it's a lot safer now.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that, but yeah. At the start, what we wanted to do was things that would get us noticed. So we knew that if we just made some plain beers, it wouldn't really work for us. So we liked local provenance too, using things that are from this area. So one of the first things we made was this thing here. So Cranachan Killer, which is a raspberry and oat pale ale. So we get the raspberries from a local farm, the oats from nearby as well, and it just is fruity and quite cool. So yeah, cheers.
Straight away when you open this, you get a massive hit of raspberry coming through that. So it's got a lot of fruit in there.
There is, it's about 12% by volume raspberry juice, yeah. And we had to be careful, there's a couple of times that the strains change as the year goes through, so we had to keep the same strain of raspberries for just for consistency. So yeah.
And you get the raspberries locally, yeah?
Yeah, the raspberries come from a farm in a place called Lawrencekirk, which is about 30 miles from here, so it's nice to have the local provenance there, it really helps. So, yeah.
And two great things from Scotland, oats, a staple in porridge, and just south of here is really famous for soft fruit.
Yeah, exactly, so it's a nice thing to do. And the guys down there appreciate it too. We've got our beer for sale in their farm shop too, so it sort of works, yeah.
Yeah, so they provide you with 3 tons of raspberries and you give them 3 cases of beer.
I wouldn't do 3 cases, that's far too much, but yeah, you know.
And what was it that got you into beer to start with, and then having an even more stupid idea of starting your own brewery?
Well, it's going to sound pretty corny, but it was standing around in the BrewDog flagship bar in Aberdeen, just tasting what was coming out there from BrewDog was outstanding, so we just thought, yeah, we would have a go ourselves too. And again, one of the reasons we made things like this beer and like the other fruity ones and spicy ones, because you know, the IPAs, we couldn't do anything close to as good, so we went for weird things to stand out, which sort of worked.
Yeah.
And now we make IPAs. So.
Yeah, you've definitely got to find your niche in the whole beer spectrum, really focus in on that, and then perfect that, and then it really gives people the reason to want to seek out your beer and try it.
Yeah, well that's it. So we hated picking a beer that was supposed to be amazing and searching for what was in there. So you know, it's pretty full on, and that's why we called the brewery Fierce. You know, it was fierce flavours. There's a lot going on. So yeah. The
labels are pretty fun as well. You've got humanised animals.
Yeah, and I just wanted something to stand out, something that really caught your eye on the shelf. We've got a great, again, local design guy who does all this for us, and we come up with the beer idea, he comes up with the wacky can label, it's cool.
So Dave, how do you find the beer scene now compared to when you started?
I mean, it's changes every day.
And when did you actually sell your first beer?
It was the 1st of April, which was a great day to start. In 2016 we did our first brew, so we've not been going for long. So, but yeah, in that time, you know, everything changes. You know, we've got more little breweries opening up around here too, some really good ones. But the change from people not really knowing a lot about craft beer to it being widespread and accepted now is phenomenal. And people always say that Aberdeen's quite slow in accepting something, but once you get in, they're very loyal, and that's totally true. You'll see BrewDog beer and even some of ours in pretty much every decent pub in town now, so yeah. It's good.
Yeah, it really has been a revolution in terms of what's available beer-wise in Aberdeen from when we started out in 2007, which was Tennant's and Bell's Whiskey.
Nice.
to where we are now, where we really have a lot of people who at one point had no interest in craft beer at all, who are the people that spend a lot of time on all the apps trying to find every single beer that they can get their hands on, and it really has transformed the area. In terms of coming from the northeast of Scotland, which if you look for somewhere to sell your beer or somewhere to start a business or a brewery, it's kind of like probably the most stupid place to do it, right in the northeast corner of Scotland.
Yeah, totally.
How do you think that's driven how your brewery's grown and the philosophy behind it?
I'm not sure if it means you have to try harder, maybe, to stand out, because yeah, it is quite remote and there's not a lot of people around this area going to have an instant market too. So you got to travel a lot, and of course throughout the UK, where the craft beer scene is fantastic, there's a lot more goes on in Manchester and London and Leeds and Sheffield and around there, also in Edinburgh. So you have to travel further, you have to be seen to stand out a bit more. So does it make you try to do things a bit more weird and wonderful? Yeah, it probably does. Do you have to spend a lot more time on the road? Yeah, you definitely do. So does that make you try harder and strive to succeed? Yeah, without a doubt. So we actually think it's a great place to be, because the things you can get around here locally to put into beer is fantastic. It's amazing. So being close to the distilleries as well, so getting hold of barrels to do something a bit more strange, it's a cracking place to be. I think it makes you stand out.
And in terms of the first year and a half when the whole operation was based from this unit, what are some of the either best times, worst times, some of the funniest moments that happened in this unit?
When you talked to the other Dave, he's not going to enjoy this at all, but we had a whole vessel of Cafe Racer, coffee and vanilla porter, just sitting almost virtually behind you. And he had tried to turn the rack and arm with the vessel full of beer, and it just started pissing out everywhere all over the floor. So he was standing there, a bit like the Dutch guy with his finger on the dam, looking up saying, "Dave, I don't know what to do." So we got around it, we moved it over to another tank that we'd cleaned out, so that was cool. But just seeing the floor awash with beer was sad, but it was also pretty funny, so yeah. But highlights for me still every single day, and especially now we've got our own bar in town, it's just seeing people's faces when they try something for the first time. It's still fantastic when someone who I don't like craft beer but will give it a go, all of a sudden goes, "Oh my God, it's amazing." So it's so cool. Mm-hmm. Great industry. Yeah,
and in terms of the thing that got you into beer in the first place, what was the first beer that you tried which wasn't a Tennent's lager?
We got a Ballast Point Indra Canindra, which was a Thai curry stout, which we just thought, this thing is blowing our mind, man. I mean, how can you possibly do that in a beer? And now we blatantly copy it, which is even better, so we'll make it here. So, but things like that were cool, and we always ended up going towards either super hoppy or massively huge stouts, which really got our interest. But then as time went on, looking towards Belgium for some sours, mixed fermentation, awesomeness, yeah, brilliant.
And from the range that you make at the moment, what are some of the exciting ones that you're doing just now?
It's nice to have a core range you can put out there and people can go back and rely on, but we try and do a couple of specials every single month. At the moment we've got a barley wine we're going to barrel age, we've got a maple bacon pancake stout, which is going to be quite weird, especially when you try to say it, it's not easy. And
does it have maple, bacon and pancakes in it?
Yeah, I think tomorrow we're going to turn it down and do some dry baconing. So I guess dry hopping's pretty neat these days, but yeah, dry baconing's fantastic.
It sounds fun.
Yeah.
And how do you get the bacon into the beer?
Well, we've got a wee machine up there, a wee hop rocket that we're going to use and just blast it in and see how it goes, yeah, so, yeah.
And I think that's one of the most exciting bits about beer is that, you can come up with any concept you like, and it's how you take that concept and make it into a beer. Aye. And then the proof is always in the pudding or the pancakes in this instance.
Or the pancakes, yeah. And a lot of amazing things out there with the likes of Omnipolo who really push the envelope, and working with Buxton and these guys too. So, and the public is more accepting. So when you turn up with a maple bacon and pancake beer, people are like, "Oh yeah, I'll have that," rather than "What the hell are you guys on?" So yeah, it's just cool. So.
And do you have a label designed for that one?
Yeah, our special beers we put in a different type of can so it stands out. So whereas all the animals are used for the core range, we use a black can. So when anyone knows that it's a black fierce can, it's going to be very limited. And
so it won't be a pig in a chef's outfit with a frying pan making pancakes?
I should never thought of that. Hang on, I'll get the guy on the phone. That'd be neat, yeah.
So I guess what would be a cool thing now is to find some of the cans with black labels and try them with Dave.
Let's do it.
You put together a personal bar.
Could have some perks for owning a brewery, I guess. So.
Awesome.
I thought I'd run you through a few of our beers. start off with an IPA. This is one we just started doing recently, is our late shift. So going for a sort of a West Coast style rather than the East Coast everyone's doing these days. Decent amount of bitterness in there as well. So 6.5%, still pretty easy to drink though. And
super solid IPA.
yeah, it's good. It's quite a simple malt bill, mostly pale malt. There's a bit of Vienna in there, a little bit of wheat as well, try and help the body a wee bit.
But I think that's what a great IPA is all about, is just having the malt there to give you the alcohol, to give you a bit of a canvas, but the whole point of an IPA is the hops.
I think so. So there's the kettle hops are mostly late addition stuff, some Cascade in there, and then the dry hops we use quite a lot of Mosaic, and there's a bit of Amarillo in there as well. So it's sort of, like you say, a typical sort of juicy, fresh hops from the States that seem to make the IPA do so well. So.
And Big Dave was saying that the cans that are black are the special edition beers.
Absolutely. So we have the animals for our core stuff, and then the black cans for special editions. We kind of colour code them. The green ones are porters. Purple one tend to be hoppy stuff. The yellow one for our investor series that we're doing.
And what's the investor series?
So when we set up the bar, we decided we want to do some crowdfunding for that. So there were a number of different rewards and perks, and one of them was if you invested a certain amount, you could come along, help design a brew, you come along and do it with us, and then they've got their name on it. They release it. They had a wee party in the bar as well. So it's good fun, really good fun.
Great. And what are some of your favourite beers that you make here?
I like the sour beers that we do. I think they're really accessible. Tangerine tart's good. The citrus tart we've done recently as well, lemon and lime. Most of our additions tend to be in the fermenter. We like the fresh flavour we get out of putting things in the cold side rather than in the kettle. So we have a book of 10, 12 different base beers, and we know how certain ingredients will go on top of them. So we brew the beer, get it into the fermenter, and then we can sort of slowly add a few ingredients at a time to build up that flavour profile till we know that it's the right amount. I think we're lucky that we haven't had to ditch any beers because the flavour combination's not worked. So, that's helped a lot.
Let's open some of the black ones.
Okay, no worries. Well, as I say, the Investor Series, so we'll go with this one here. This is our pineapple cubed beer. So I don't even remember when we were kids, they had cola cubes, but they also had pineapple cubes, the small sweets. And the idea was trying to recreate that. So it's a kettle sour. To try and get the sharpness and the acidity in there. We also have put in 3 different types of pineapple flavourings. We actually used the pineapple cube sweets, and we've used some concentrate as well, and some additions to get the flavour in there. So
it's very, very fruity. I love the pineapple intensity there, but also having a beer at 8% alcohol. That's sharp and tart as well is really good. So you get an underlying sweetness in there from the alcohol and the malt there, but it's also really, really fresh. So I guess like the sweets, where it really makes your mouth water at the cheeks, you have that sensation, which is really cool.
Yeah, no, it's good. And the sweets are very sweet themselves, and the citric acid they have on the outside, so it gives you the same kind of effect.
And then how are you doing the kettle souring? There's a whole host of different ways of doing it.
There are. So at the moment, we just use some sour malt that we put in there, and it kicks off the process of the lactobacillus that's on the sour malt, then sours it down. It usually takes us about 18-20 hours to sour down overnight. We like our stuff to be quite sharp, so we're usually getting it down to 3.2 pH if we can down there. And if we try and do a few in a row, so then we can crop our culture and use it in the next one, and then it sours a bit more quickly. So
what should we try next?
Right, let's try our barrel-aged Very Big Moose. So Very Big Moose was a very imperial version of our Moose Moose chocolate stout that we did for the Collab Fest a couple of years ago. The guys from Flagship Bar. And then last year actually around about the anniversary of the first brew, we did another brew of it, and we put it into 3 cognac barrels and 4 bourbon barrels, and it sat in there for pretty much a year. So 12.5%, a wee bit stronger than before. The malt bills, it's the same as our Very Big Moose. We put a lot of the Carafa Special 3 in there, so you get a lovely chocolate flavour. You don't get too much bitterness from that.
So it's the dehusked dark malt? That's
right, yeah. So it's not as bitter as the roast barley. A bit of oats in there, some caramel to give it some sweetness as well. And then ferment it out. We add in a lot of chocolate to cocoa powder, a bit of vanilla as well, and then the flavour that's come through from the barrels. So I think it's worked really well. There's also actually a tiny wee bit of cinnamon in there, just kind of gives the chocolate a bit more of a milk chocolate flavour rather than too dark. So
I guess a little bit of warmth too.
Absolutely, yeah, and it comes through in the aroma really well.
It's great.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? I think the bourbon's really come across well from it.
And also, I think aging it in the barrels has kind of softened the whole body of the beer a little bit. You know, quite often when you age something in a spirit barrel, it sort of dilutes the body a little. So what the very big moose is a real big, thick, chewy beer, and I think the barrel aging's just kind of softened it and made it, I would say a little bit more drinkable, but at the same time it's also a little bit more alcoholic, I guess, as well.
The spirit comes through, the bourbon comes through really well. I think you get quite a lot in the aroma with cinnamon there as well, and then the finish is really strong with it. And
because it's been in there for a year, you really taste the wood as well. So quite often when a beer's been in wood for that length of time, it always reminds me of walking through an aging warehouse of a bourbon distillery, and you get that slightly earthiness. It's almost a touch of musty, but that's a real character in aged spirit, and it really sits there at the front of the beer. But then, once you get in and you swallow it, you've got the cinnamon, you've got all the amazing big heavy chocolate. It's an incredible textured beer where it starts off. It's not watery, but it's more fluid, and then it comes into that sort of thick, and it really coats your mouth in the back.
Yeah, and we don't try and overcarbonate it as well, so the carbonation is fairly low, just to make sure it's not too spiky and it's nice and soft.
And this has been a very special week for you guys, winning awards as well, right?
Yeah, it's been good. We were down at the Scottish Beer Awards in Edinburgh on Thursday, and we did better than we thought we'd do, actually. It was really nice to pick up.
A little bit modest.
A little bit modest, you don't want to be a wee bit modest. So we got four gold awards and a silver as well. So Very Big Moose won Best Amplified Beer, and the Barrel Age got Best Barrel Aged Beer. So
great.
It's nice to have.
Nailed it.
Thank you.
Thanks for today. It's been a great experience for me to come here. It's that annoying thing of this brewery is right on your doorstep and been open for 2 and a bit years, but yet I'd never been here. So today it was an awesome experience to come here, hang out and see you playing in your home environment, understanding the great things you guys have been up to. Thanks a lot for your time. Awesome. And good luck in the future.
Fantastic. Really appreciate it.
Sure.